Hello students, I am teacher Svetlana and in our today's lecture we will learn about the silent features of the major plant groups under phanerogams. If you have a look at this classification of the plant kingdom, in my previous lecture we have completed the cryptogams. Today we are going to see the phanerogams, and along with that we will see the plant life cycle and the alternation of generation, which is covered in the chapter Kingdom Plantae. So let's begin. The first division that we will see under phanerogams is the division of gymnosperm. Most of the gymnosperms are evergreen, shrubs or woody trees. They are primitive group of flowering plants producing naked seeds. Seeds are not covered by a fruit, that is ovary. If you have a look at this diagram, you can see this is cycas and these are the seeds that it produces. They are vascular plants having xylem with trichetes and phloem with seed cells. The plant body is sporophyte. It is differentiated into root, stem and leaves. So the adult plant body, you can identify the different parts in it, that is the root, stem and leaves. The root system is taproot type. In some, the roots form symbiotic association with other life forms. Then in gymnosperms, the stem is mostly erect, aerial, solid and cylindrical. Secondary growth is seen here in gymnosperms due to the presence of cambium. Their leaves are dimorphic, that is, they have different appearance on the upper and the lower side of the leaf. Spores are produced by microsporophyle male and the megasporophyle female. Here in this picture, I have put all the possible examples of the plants that are included in the division of gymnosperms. If you look at the economic importance of gymnosperms, most of them are used as ornamental plant. Cycas is used, you must have seen cycas in the bouquet. Then we have pinus, which is source of pine wood, turpentine oil and pine resin. If you look at pinus here, you will see that this resembles something, especially at the time of Christmas. In your Christmas decorations, you must have seen this painted in golden and silver. So they are used for decorations, they are used as ornamental plants. The next division under phanerogams is the angiosperms, the plants that produce seeds which are enclosed in fruit. So in Greek, the word that means seed in a vessel. So the two important characteristics of angiosperms are they have flowers, they have fruits. These angiosperms are divided into two major groups, that is monocot and dicot. So the angiosperms are the most advanced group of flowering plants. They are highly evolved plants primarily adapted to terrestrial habitat. They vary in size. And if you see the two major groups that they are divided in, that is the monocots and dicots. Here in this image, I have listed the difference between the monocots and dicots. That is monocot, one cotyledon is present, dicot, two cotyledons are present. Then the floral part in threes, floral parts are in four or fives in the dicot. In the monocot, the leaves show parallel venations. In dicot, they show net-like venations. Then we have in the monocot, pollen grain has one pore or a furrow. In the dicots, the pollen grains has three pores or furrows. Then the vascular bundle in monocots, if you see, the vascular bundle is throughout the stem's ground tissue. It is distributed evenly. But in the dicots, the vascular bundle is arranged in concentric rings like this. So this I have given just a brief description about angiosperms because for this academic year the angiosperms is eliminated from your syllabus, that is, it is deleted. But it is good to know about it since in your lower classes also you must have studied about them. Now students, let us have a look at an important concept that is plant life cycle and the alternation of generation. Life cycle of plant includes two phases or distinct generation, namely the sporophyte, which is diploid state, that is 2n state, and gametophyte, that is the haploid end state. Let me explain to you what is a diploid state. Students, within the cell we have our genetic information in the form of chromosomes. Now this chromosomes, when you have the complete set within the cell, it is the diploid set. When it is reduced to half its number, then it is called as an haploid state. Some special diploid cells of sporophyte, that is the adult plant, it divides by meiosis to produce the haploid cells. These haploid cells divide mitotically to give rise to the gametophyte. You must have also come across the concept of meiosis and mitosis. Meiosis is reduction division, where the chromosome is reduced to half its content, and we have mitotic division, which is called as equational division, where the cell divides exactly into two equal halves. Now the gametophyte produces male and female gametes which fuse during fertilization to produce a diploid zygote. So the gametophyte, that is the gametes produced by the male and the female, so NN in the haploid state, these gametes fuse during fertilization and they produce the diploid zygote, which is 2N. So from haploid state again you get back the diploid state. Now it divides by mitosis. This zygote divides by mitosis to form the diploid sporophyte. So if you have a look at this image here, this talks about the alternation of generation, that there are 5 generalized steps to it. If you start here, see, you have the first step that happens. This is the gametophyte produced, which is haploid gametes by mitosis. So this is the gametophyte, it is N, so it is haploid. This is produced by mitosis. Then this further you come to the next stage. The two gametes unite and fertilize, that is one gamete self and the gamete from the other plant. So this to fuse, that is process is called as fertilization, and they form the diploid zygote. So after fertilization you have 2N, that is the diploid zygote. So you can see a N, N and 2N. So haploid male gamete, haploid female gamete, it gives you a diploid 2N zygote. Then the third step is the zygote develops into a multicellular diploid sporophyte. So it undergoes mitosis, that is normal cellular cell division, and it gives you the adult diploid sporophyte, which is 2N. Now this sporophyte again produces haploid spores by meiosis. So again by meiosis it produces these spores. Now these spores develop into multicellular haploid gametophytes. So you can see these with meiosis you get the spores. These spores develop into haploid gametophyte and the life cycle continues. So you will see in the life cycle alternatively there is a haploid state, then there is a diploid state, again there is a haploid state. So the sporophytic and gametophytic generations generally occur alternatively in the life cycle of the plants, and this phenomenon is called as alternation of generation. Students, this distinct alternation of the generation is seen in all the plant species. In gymnosperms and angiosperms, the gametophyte that we are talking about, this gametophyte is much reduced and it exists in the sporophyte itself. Then we have in birophytes, the haploid gametophyte is dominant. It is photosynthetic. Here in your birophytes, this gametophyte is dominant, it is photosynthetic, it is independent thyroid or an erect phase. The sporophyte is short-lived, multicellular, and it depends totally or partially on the gametophyte for nutrition and anchorage. Whereas if you see the pteridophytes, this sporophyte itself is dominant, independent, and a vascular plant. Haploid multicellular gametophytes are generally autotrophic and they are short-lived. It alternates with the sporophyte. And if you talk about algae, based upon the nature of its dominant phase in the life cycle, they show different types of life cycle, which is called as haplotic, diplotic or haplodiplotic life cycle. Let us have a look at what are these different types of life cycles. Here students, let us see the different types of life cycle. This is the diplotic, this is the haplotic, and this is the haplodiplotic. Let us have a look at each of these. The first one, that is the diplotic. Here you have a diploid multicellular organism, and mitotic division occurs only in this diploid cell. Now gametes are formed through meiosis and are in haploid nature. So this diploid multicellular organism undergoes meiosis and it gives rise to an haploid gamete. Now, the diploid zygote divides mitotically. So you have two gametes coming, they fertilize and they give you a diploid zygote. Now, this zygote can divide mitotically. In this process, production of multicellular diploid organisms, or it gives rise to many diploid single cells that can be formed. So this type of division is seen mostly in animals. That is, the animals, the cell is in the diploid state, and through meiosis the gametes are produced. The two gametes fuse, and after fertilization a diploid zygote is formed, and the zygote then develops through mitosis into an adult organism again. So this type of life cycle is shown by animals. Then we have another type of your life cycle, which is called as haploitic. Now, in this haploitic life cycle, the mitosis occurs in the haploid single cell or a multicellular organism. It results in the formation of a single haploid cell or a multicellular haploid organism. These forms produce the gametes through mitosis. Now, since they are haploid, they are n in number, they produce their gametes through mitosis. So, the n remains as n in number. The zygote is formed after fertilization. So after fertilization only you get the zygote. This cell is the only diploid cell in the entire life cycle of the organism. Thus the same zygotic cell later again undergoes meiosis. Students, this type of life cycle is shown mostly by fungi and some algae. Then we have the third type of life cycle, which is called as haplodiploitic. So as the name suggests, it follows both the haploitic as well as the diploitic life cycle. If you compare the image, you can see that both the images put together will give you the image of the haplodiploitic life cycle. Now what is happening here? Mitosis occurs in both the diploid as well as the haploid cells. These organisms undergo a phase in which they are multicellular and haploid, that is the gametophyte, and a phase in which they are multicellular and diploid, that is the sporophyte. So you can see here the diploid multicellular organism, this undergoes meiosis to produce spores. This pores can fuse together, fertilize and give you the diploid zygote. And if you see here, you have the haploid multicellular organism, which out of mitosis give you the pores, and this further after fertilization again gives you the diploid organism, or it may give you the haploid multicellular organism. So both the life cycles are followed in this case. We have a number of land plants and many algae who follow this type of a life cycle. Thank you students for participating in this lecture. See you soon again with the next topic. Till then, take care, be safe, keep learning.